Hey everybody, it's Dylan. We're playing episode 21 of Metal Gear Solid 5, although you can probably fucking read what's on the screen. This is a modded version, so we're playing the best character in the franchise, the best character to ever grace the face of this earth in terms of gaming industry perfection. And this man, this plan, is Solid Snake. Complete with his sneaking suit from Metal Gear Solid 2, because it is indeed the best Metal Gear Solid game in the world. Anybody who disagrees is incorrect. Metal Gear Solid 5 is good, however, it's incomplete. And that is what brings the main problem today. An incomplete game being completed by yours truly. Now what's the plan of attack, you ask? Well, that's a very good question. And to be honest, I don't particularly have one. I run inside of the base, shoot some people, then leave. And that's pretty much how this story goes. Our mission today is to take down 2 operatives who are trying to bring nuclear weapons into Africa. One is the specialist of these ballistic missiles, and the other is a man who wants these ballistic missiles. And they're meeting in Nova Praga Airport, which we are infiltrating currently. With the expertise of Solid Snake behind our shoulders, nothing is impossible. Now I'm equipped with a single, non-lethal pistol, because I don't like to go into any kind of base heavy. The plan is to not get into a gunfight, because you failed the mission if you do. The whole point of infiltration is to gather information, and you cannot gather information when everybody's on edge and ready to shoot. And so we are doing the best thing we can possibly do, and that's staying out of sight. Unfortunately, you get a bunch of funny things happen when you're staying out of sight. Namely the fact that I've hit this guy's helmet 3 times, and it takes me a 4th time before I can actually hit him. But he goes down in the end. And of course he's not dead, it's just tranquilizer rounds. However, the other soldiers will not be so lucky to see the same fate, because I have a knife. And we all know what knives are good for, especially if you live in the UK like I do. So do all of the lovely roadmen. Now, what we're going to do is use this knife to make the soldiers quiet and silent so that they don't raise the alarm. These knives are very persuasive, you see. They're very good at persuading somebody to be silent. After we've interrogated some of them, but these ones we don't particularly need to interrogate. The entire plan is to wait for the man in the suit to appear, and ask him where the guy is that he's willing to meet. Oh, and here, right on cue, is the helicopter, speak of the devil. Now, the plan of action is just to lie on the floor and crawl behind cover, because for some reason helicopters can't see you if you're crawling on the floor. Which doesn't particularly make any sense in the real world, because if I was a helicopter pilot and I saw a man sneaking around by crawling on the floor, I'd be more suspicious of him than if he was just walking around looking like a normal person. But this is of course Metal Gear Solid, where all logic defies reality, because Hideo Kojima is at the helm of this incredible art piece that you see before you. Hideo Kojima is the mastermind behind this madness, behind many madnesses that we call Metal Gear Solid. But a fun fact, Hideo Kojima was not actually at the helm of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. They offshored the game to a company that was more experienced in hack and slash games, and they developed Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. The actual storyline wasn't developed by our good friend Hideo Kojima. And so it's technically not canon, but I don't care. It's canon to me. We definitely will count Sussy Jack being the most canon character in this franchise. I mean, it's not impossible, really, if you think about it. The characters in this game is Big Boss, and then every other character that causes a problem is supposed to be a clone of Big Boss, because he couldn't have children because they sterilised him. So they cloned him instead, to make the perfect soldier under their control. Of course, it was unsuccessful many times, as cloning is, until they were eventually able to clone a couple of them. Now, our two good and bad guys within the franchise is Solid Snake and Liquid Snake, and they were born as Les Infantes Terribles, which is the project. This is what they called the project of cloning Big Boss to make the ultimate soldier. Because at the time he wasn't working with them, because he fell out with them, and he ends up working with them anyway at some point. So the whole Les Infantes Terribles project was completely pointless to begin with, because he ends up working with them. He just stalls the amount of time he works with them for because of the fact that he's not happy with them cloning him, which obviously you wouldn't be. If you woke up one day and realised that your boss had cloned you, and then he said he was going to use your clone to do whatever he wanted, that'd sound a little bit sus, wouldn't it? Not particularly keen on that sort of thing. A little bit unusual, if I do say so myself. But what isn't so unusual is the relationship between Solid Snake and Liquid Snake disliking each other, because they were twins, and it was theorized that Liquid Snake gained the recessive genes of Big Boss, where Solid Snake gained the dominant genes, and because of this, Liquid Snake always felt inferior to Solid Snake, and as a result of this, he tries to prove himself by having his own mercenary band, being a top grade soldier and not having a plan for anything, improvising, and yet still succeeding while improvising, whereas Solid Snake was very planned, meticulous, no detail was missed. As it turned out in the end, it was indeed Liquid Snake that had the dominant genes, and not the recessive ones, making his entire rivalry pointless. But of course, what would this story be if it wasn't pointless? Because that's the theme of this story. How everything is repetitive and pointless. Because it's written around the war economy, and how different countries purposely start never-ending war so that they can never-ending profit of it. And this game uses the band that Big Boss creates to convey this. Obviously not using a real world model for this, because that would be anti-government and it would never be put into the Western markets. I mean, you've got to fake things sometimes, haven't you? Just look at Animal Farm by George Orwell. If you'd have made them people instead of animals, the story would be a bit more understandable. There'd be no hidden lines behind it. But much like that, Hideo Kojima has a lot to say about the world, and he expresses it through the media of Metal Gear Solid. And I'll be honest, makes some pretty good games. I do like this whole stealth franchise, but military. It's fun. It's pretty cool, dressing up as a soldier and getting to use a gun, because guns are cool. Guns are very strong. It doesn't matter how well trained a soldier may be compared to the other. All it takes is a single bullet to change the fate of many. And that is why war is so unpredictable. And he does a good job at conveying it in this game. Well, I've modded and changed a few things. so that the enemy preparedness level is slightly higher than what it normally should be. So this base has cameras, a lot more walker gears than what it should normally have, but it's to make it harder, to make it more fun and more dangerous. Because what would war be if it wasn't dangerous? Everyone would do it all the time, and so that's why I've made it difficult. Now those enemies that I've marked are currently marching up to someone who is stationary, if you've noticed, and through my powerful skill of deduction, I've realised that one of the stationary men is the guy who's supposed to be meeting with the suit. One of them. And through the power of deduction, that's in the middle of the building, and that's where they were supposed to meet. And so now all I have to do is sneak inside of the building, give him a good old tap with the tranquilizer, and send him on his way. And there he is, just as predicted. The meeting holder. So we'll shoot 1, 2, very quick, efficient. We need no more than that. And simply extract him. Now, to the next stage of the plan, which I've already thought out. How am I going to get out of Nova Braga Airport? Well, it's an airport, and so therefore you can land a helicopter there. But the problem with that is it's surrounded by walker gears and soldiers, and so that wouldn't be particularly effective. And yes, I could fly to a helicopter zone, but, well, I'm lazy, and I don't particularly think that's a good idea to leave a mission, because it's not creative, you know what I mean? It lacks that creative drive to do something out of the ordinary, because Solid Snake's whole gimmick is to be unpredictable, so that he can't be caught out. So as you can see, as there is with many big bases, there's materials that the soldiers are using to create weaponry, ammunition, and their gear, and these are in these crates. Materials. And so, what can you do with this? Well, as it turns out, you can jump on top of the cargo, activate a wormhole, and you can hold on to the top, and it'll just take you back up. And that's the mission complete. Just under 13 minutes. A rank, of course. Now, if it was S rank, that would mean I wasn't wearing the sneaking suit. But the sneaking suit has a limitation where it restricts to A rank. But it was S rank. You can tell because of the way that Miller is very, very happy that he completed your mission. Here's the briefing.
That doesn't excuse everything he did, but his skills will make him a useful asset. Let's put him to good use. I've tossed that arms dealer in the break. The way he tells it, he worked in logistics with the South African army, but he was headhunted by Sainer. Whoever gave him the orders would only have been a pawn of Skullface anyway, but apparently he hasn't been in contact for some time. He doesn't know much about Sainer, not even what its president looks like.
Well, how very interesting.
Just another
That's
cog
about
in
it.
the machine.
See ya.